Good morning, and to those in Canada, happy Thanksgiving weekend. It's a Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversation. I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. And I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers that is sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And with that, being part of that collaboration last year, reached out directly or indirectly to over 100,000 fathers around the world. And as always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. And welcome to the Thanksgiving Weekend Edition. Weekend Edition. There used to be a show called Weekend Edition, I think, too.
Yes.
Yes. Of the Morning Vibe. And look who we have for Thanksgiving.
Hey, glad to be back. Good to see you, brother.
What's going on, Ryan Knight? Where you been?
I feel I've been recuperating, trying to get back on steady feet, taking it easy, but the cough is a little bit lingering, but it's been all right. But good to be back. Missed you, brother. Thank you, and happy Thanksgiving to you and your family.
Right.
For those that don't know who I am, tuning in maybe for the first time, my name is Ryan Knight, one of the co-founders of the Afro-Caribbean Business Network. We work with entrepreneurs of African and Caribbean heritage, really to support them in their business growth by figuring out what stage they're in and then helping them create a strategy to grow their companies exponentially. I am an entrepreneur myself. I run a company called Detailing Nights. So we provide mobile waterless car cleaning. So we go to people's houses and their offices, clean their cars on the spot without using water, and our eco-friendly plant-based cleaning supplies. I always like to give a shout out to our youth entrepreneurs that go through our summer program. They're back in school now, and some of them working towards post-secondary where they will get a scholarship from DK. So congratulations to them. And I'm still rocking the PACU shirt, which stands for the Pan-African Credit Union. They have their application into FISRA to become a bona fide credit union. So if you want to support, please go to pacu.ca and pledge so that we can become part owners of this Black-led and Black-serving financial institution. But yes, brother.
Okay. You're back.
Yes.
You're back. Okay. Like on most Mondays for the last while, we got to say this episode of The Morning Vibe is brought to you by the Macmillan Group. Real estate and mortgages made simple. They've been doing it since 1999. So if you have any questions or need any help with mortgages and or real estate, please get in contact with the Macmillan Group in Canada, 905-813-4354. United States, 904-586-5636. And as always, happy Thanksgiving to the Macmillan Group, not only because they support what we do, but they're just really good people. Yes. Bottom line, just really. And before we even get going, we already have a person jumping in this morning. Cool. Look who's watching.
Good morning.
Look who's watching.
Hey, is that the real Michael Couture?
I don't know.
Does that have a verification check mark?
Stop it. Well, good morning to Michael Couture. For those who don't know, long time involved in government, from municipal to provincial
Trustee
to federal,
yeah,
and a member of
yeah.
the Black Caucus of the federal government. So thank you for jumping in. And actually, interesting enough, I'm supposed to be recording an interview with Minister Hussein for this week.
Okay, excellent. Oh,
So
this week.
yeah, and he announced another program last week in regards to help for Black Canadians. So Michael, thank you for jumping on. And Michael, we'd like to have you on here. I know you never have a moment to breathe,
Right.
but we'd like to have you on here. And also, look at Ray. Good morning, gentlemen, and happy thank you, Ray. Thank you, Ray, so much. You and your family for your continuous support. Appreciate it. So, wow. Well, I said to Ryan last night, hey, are you going to come on today? Are you on a rest, etc.? So he's on today. So we have once in a while now, we get a chance to just talk about various things because we're so blessed to have a number of friends coming up on the platform. Well, one of them, Ray, is going to be coming up in the next few weeks. And just want to promo it right now. This Friday, Leslie McCune will be talking about mental health. And Leslie McCune is based out of the Ottawa area. She is been a psychotherapist for over 30 years.
Yes.
30 years of experience. So starting this Friday, once a month for the rest of the months of this year, which is flying by, Leslie will be coming on also. So just want to put out in the front end, she'll be coming on this Friday's show. And so let's do the jambalaya. What are we going to chat about today? So many different things.
Man, first let's just get this out the way because it almost put me back in bed in deep depression. The Blue Jays weren't ready. They weren't ready. I accept it. It's done. I'm done. Okay, thank you.
You want to go any deeper on that, or you just want to leave it as is?
There's nothing to say. People are trying to say like what the TSN turning point was. Was it when they collided? No, immaturity. Like they're just, if you can't put away that game, you are not going all the way to the big show. So we have to accept that and know that at least we pulled the Band-Aid off quick because the loss was going to come somewhere down the line. It hurts more the deeper you get in. So
because you are a baseball fan. You love your baseball.
Big time. Yes.
It's interesting. There's there's not a lot of people that I chat with that talk about baseball. You are probably the most significant under 50 that talk about, like, all the people I talk to baseball. My dad and all his friends are big into baseball. All I will say about, I wasn't watching him. I was somewhat keeping touch on online, and I saw, and that when that gentleman hit that 3-1 home run to get close, to go, this ain't looking good.
And you know, when
people talk about pulling the pitcher too, people were saying, well, that guy, they don't understand the move.
Because that was within the realm of when they typically pull him out. And they didn't blow the lead right when he came out. So if they had pulled him and it was a total disaster, fair enough. But up to the 8th inning, we were in good shape and we couldn't close it out. So that just shows, and that had been a bit of the weakness all throughout the season, was the pitching. And so our ace let us down in the first game. And again, they threw their ace. We couldn't get anything going. You can't win any game scoring 0 runs. So fair enough. But then game 2, if you can't put up a crooked number like 8, and your pitching can't hold that down,
wow,
you're not ready.
Yeah, you don't deserve it. Yeah. Well, it's interesting because what was it? On that collision, bad with both of them, because now I know you're the baseball expert, and I remember playing baseball when I had hair. That should have been Springer's ball all the way.
Right, but that's where it's a Bermuda Triangle, when it's in a spot where everybody feels they can get to it, but it's far enough away that it's a spectacular play.
Here's my question. Routine. Here's my question. When I played baseball, when I played outfield, they said it's always easier for someone to catch it coming in than going back.
Absolutely.
And another question I would have, and I don't know if they've ever asked it, did anyone call it? Whoever calls it first, that's their ball.
But that's what I mean. When it's in a zone where you don't quite know, because it's not routine enough that you're like, okay, I got this, and you can call people off and get to it. When you're trying to make a spectacular play, you're really only focused on the extension of your body to get to it. So you're not always calling it. So if all three aren't calling it, then everybody's just trying to make the play. And that's where the really dangerous collisions happen, because it's full speed, people just going for the ball, and nobody can see each other. So
First
it
person who
happens.
calls it, first person who calls it should have it.
Like you
Oh,
said,
just
if nobody
interrupt.
called it.
So people, Mr. Couteau is saying thank you anytime. So I'm going to be reaching out to
Okay.
your team this week,
Yes.
Mr. Couteau. So it's digitally marked,
Right.
and timestamped. All right. But no,
We'll make sure to reach out.
I think that I spoke with someone yesterday who's a Blue Jay and a Maple Leaf fan.
Oh dear.
And I said, which hurts more, that loss on, was it Saturday, or when the Maple Leafs blew the game against Boston a few weeks ago? He said, "Oh, the Maple Leafs one is worse." And he said he saw someone on social media who was obviously a fan and said, "My gosh, like how could we do this? I mean, it feels so bad." And a Maple Leaf fan responded, "Welcome to our world."
Right. That's okay, man. There's some Obia. I don't know who we sold our soul to for those. So the World Series, the previous Blue Jays World Series win celebrated their 30 years, 92.
Yeah.
30-year anniversary since the 92 World Series.
Well, at least they won. The Maple Leafs haven't won a Stanley Cup since 1967.
Hey, look at that, man. People born, when you talk about under 50, there's people under 50. So for the Leafs that have no idea what a Stanley Cup win is. And then for those under 30, for the Blue Jays, have no idea about that type of heyday in the Blue Jays history. So
yeah,
man.
As someone's in here, LinkedIn user, hi Dr. Vibe and Ryan. I think I know who that is. I think that's Christopher.
It does say Christopher Lawrence on mine.
It does not on mine here. Yeah. So on mine, for some reason, on the platform that we use to live stream, it doesn't say his name, but Christopher, good morning. Hope all is fine. So how long is this going to linger, this Blue Jays loss in you?
Well, I'm glad that the coverage has been minimal. I was watching the Padres playing the
there's another unhappy the New York Mets.
Man, like if you're talking about New York, and now I think Cleveland's going up against the Yankees. So if that upset happens too, New York is just gonna go on fire. Like that, it's just gonna implode, and suicide watch warnings will be up on billboards. It'll just be. I mean, I had to call my dad for the Blue Jays and be like, "Yo, are you good?" I had to call a couple of my friends, be like, "Hey, everything all right? Just checking."
Wow.
So York,
I was with my dad yesterday, and he was not a happy camper. Like, and his best friend's a serious Blue Jay fan. So he didn't call him after that. He didn't call him till the next day.
Check in a couple days later, because it was one of those, man. It just, my mind, because when Escobar hit the 2-run home run, I'm like, all right, 2-0, we're back. Like that kind of got
you got to run
the spirit back, and the lead. So like, now let's go, let's lock this in. And then they just kept putting on runs, AK, like systematic, let's go. And then it just went haywire. But it'll linger for a bit until I would say the World Series is done. Then baseball kind of flush out of my system. But it always hurts. But thank you for listening. That was therapeutic.
I tell people I'm 6'3", pretty big. So people say pretty big, so I absorb. I always have a physical and digital shoulder for people to lean on. So no problem. So I'll put it up here. LinkedIn user, which I believe is Christopher Mann. I thought the Jays had the playoffs in the bag. I thought maybe one round. I don't think they could have beat Houston. Yeah,
Houston stuff. Even the Yankees are like back in there.
You know what?
Think they're gonna do okay.
The Yankees. I don't know. Like, yes, outside the Aaron Judge hoopla, yeah. But
Hmm.
I think, well, Houston has their number. Houston has beaten them pretty
Ah,
consistently throughout the season.
very true.
So that would be quite the series if Houston and the Yankees met in the American League. And the funny thing too is that as much as the controversy from Houston the last few years, they've been a consistently good team.
Yeah.
Like, Springer, who from the Blue Jays, came from Houston. They also
Yes.
last year, their shortstop left to sign with another team, but they're still in the playoffs.
Yeah. And yeah, doing well. So
And Dusty Baker. I know a lot of my dad's friends want
yeah.
Dusty Baker to win. Oh,
Okay, nice,
look
nice.
at this. Tim says, I wiped my tears away Saturday night. Let's go, Raptors.
Jeez.
Oh,
Telling you,
gosh.
it was heavy,
Oh,
man.
gosh.
It was
Oh,
heavy.
my gosh. Oh, boy.
That's
All
the
right.
only
Well,
thing that helped
Tim,
me deal with it is just if we couldn't put that away, we're not ready.
no,
So
we're not.
the rest of the series would have been a mess.
So, one last topic post-mortem with your Blitz. What needs to change?
Well, because with baseball, every segment of the team has to work. And that's where the playoffs is such a beautiful thing to watch. It's because you see the team that can execute each area of, so your hitting gets on board, your pitching locks down, your relievers, defense, like everything just clicks. And typically that's like the team with the most momentum going into the playoffs typically can carry it through and win the World Series. So with the Blue Jays now, we felt like we had the hitting piece. We feel like we somewhat starting pitching. Defense, I would say, is above average. Now that bullpen is below average. So
Okay.
that's an area that I'm looking at to say, do we have the lockdown 7, 8, 9 bullpen that when you have that lead, it's lights out after the sixth inning? That would be somewhere that I would identify. But of course, you always want to bolster starting pitching. That's going to be reviewed because the person that was supposed to be our ace kind of didn't turn out to be the ace, and that might have been a bit of injuries. So we'll see. But yeah, what are you thinking?
I don't, to be honest, I don't pay enough attention,
Oh, okay.
so I wouldn't want you're our baseball expert on this one. So I think that
Yes.
just from where I sit, yeah, I think the bullpen pitching is where they need to, and I think too. I don't know. I look at Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Mm.
and if I look at all the hype he came in with, has he lived up to expectation or was he overhyped?
Yeah, well, and that's where, again, when you get to the playoffs, it's easier to quiet hot hitting than it is to just pick up and shut people down, like pitching wise. So, like, it's harder to stop great pitching than it is to stop great hitting.
Pitching is the key in play baseball playoffs. That is the key. That is absolutely key. Like, Toronto doesn't have a Justin Verlander,
right?
Who still
goes. Hey, Cy Young numbers again, man.
Yeah, right. So you know what? People say, "Come on, guys, get off the sports kick. Let's talk." So what else you want to chat about?
If you want to stay on, just to get the bad news out of our system. So what's happening with Michael Thompson is very, and it's more than the allegation. It's now, and I don't, because again, you don't know if it's true. So the attack on Black men, where we either are very stupid or we're under attack. And that's where, when it happened with Senator Meredith, it's a lose-lose situation. You're engulfed in something where you're dealing with a woman that, if it's true, you are...
Let me just interrupt you. Let's just put a final close. Tim Frey was saying we need to build up the tolerance with starting pitching, going longer innings for the playoffs like the 70s and 80s. Well, you know what? I agree to a certain extent, but the analytics now, pitchers don't go more than 4 or 5 innings. It's a totally different baseball game. Yeah, the 70s. 70s, 80s baseball is not the same today. Doesn't play like analytics like crazy. So let's get back to Mr. Thompson.
Well, and that's where I was saying it's the lose-lose. It's like either it is true and it like he had a complete lapse of judgment and he's like a complete idiot, or it's not true, and now somebody is literally trying to attack him and bring down his character. It's hard to win that type of scenario. And then again with Senator Meredith, the text messages are there that shows like it is true. The charges came out recently, and that's why it was back in the news. I was like, I thought that was done with, but the actual charges just got laid.
Yeah, which is really why so long. So for people who are watching this live on the replay, who are you talking about? So there's a gentleman named Michael Thompson. He's been a Toronto City Council for 20 plus years. He has been the only
very prominent councillor.
Yes, and yes, only black councillor since he came on.
Which is shocking to me that he's still the old. It's from when he came on till now, right? The only black councillor in Toronto.
City Council Toronto in the last 20 plus years, as Ryan has mentioned, very prominent. One of the, I would say, one of the most powerful, at least political people in Toronto.
Right. Yes.
A number of years ago, we had the Pan Am Games here in Toronto. He was one of the key people who brought it. Like when you're thinking about the economic development in Toronto, not too many things he is not connected with.
Yes.
Or he doesn't have this.
One of his roles at the city is that economic development. So he's right in that conversation.
So let me ask you how much you know about this. I hear, let's talk about too. He has been accused of sexual, is it assault?
Yeah, the term I heard is sexual assault, and
yes,
an issue up in, I think, Muskoka.
Yes,
as being alone with a woman, and she's alleging that he inappropriately, I'm pretty sure, touched.
I'm just going online, family, to bring it up so we can show it on the screen. Now, here's the funny thing, family. Michael Thompson is in my writing. So,
okay.
Yes. And and actually he did a very short interview on one of our local news stations recently, and basically denied all the allegations. But he has been a very prominent, like I said, there's a lot of chatter about this in the black environment in Toronto. Yeah, so let's see if I can bring up the story on screen a little bit. But yes, I heard a little bit of an audio interview that he gave to one of our local stations, and he's basically very confident.
And the timing of it is what makes it because
now we got another.
We are in an election year. Literally, this is the election month, and it came out just at the end of September.
So here's a story from the Toronto Star. He will seek re-election in wake of sexual assault charges. He faces 2 counts of sexual assault related to incidents that took place in the Muskoka this year. This picture of his campaign office is 2 minutes drive from where I live. Right. So, and as he represents, he's probably saw allegations broke last Thursday, but he announced he intends to stand in the October 24th municipal election while declining to answer questions about the case against him. He's hired Jennifer Barocca, a high-powered political of course, he's got deep pockets. So Ontario Provincial Police arrested Thompson on September 29 and charged him with 2 counts of sexual assault. Information filed in court ahead of his first appearance identifies 2 alleged victims by their initials only. Now, I don't know if this is confirmed or not, but I've been told that both his accusers are black.
Okay.
I don't know if this is confirmed or not. But he's been asked. So the mayor of the city of Toronto, John Tory, he asked Thompson to resign as chair. He is the chair of the Toronto City Council's Economic and Community Development Committee. Right? That's how powerful he is.
Yes.
Right. So experts in municipal law told the Star even being criminally convicted doesn't disqualify a person from being a council member only a prison term would render some ineligible. So, but here we go again. He was first elected in council in 2003. And for the past 2 terms has been a close ally of Mayor John Tory. He won the Scarborough Centre seat in the last election with a landslide 69% of the vote, and running for his 6th consecutive term this month. So here we go, folks. As Ryan said, he has been the only Black person on Toronto City Council since 2003.
Wow. Man, and this is where now it's tough, because you've seen something like Patrick Brown, where he got accused that caused him to lose the leadership of the Ontario Provincial Party.
Yeah.
But as that kind of played out, it looked like it wasn't true. He was able to rebound and build back his career. So I'm hoping the same for Michael Thompson, that this turns out not to be true. Now you really have to dig, or some investigation of who wants to just smear your name and bring you down, but you can rebuild your political career.
Well, it's going to be interesting. I think we could really go deep dive into this. There's so many different perspectives. I think that one person just said to me, if he did this, how could he be so
like total lapse in
lapse,
terrible judgment.
Going back to a point that you mentioned earlier, especially a Black man, especially a Black man, if you're in politics, you always got to realize you have a bullseye on you. And
that's why it's tough to believe, because
it's interesting. And again, if both his accusers are Black, that's even more interesting. And I'll just leave it here that people from the Black environment that I chat with have mixed opinions of Mr. Thompson.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So I wouldn't, if he is innocent, and again, we're only making, we don't know the real truth here, and hopefully we will eventually. Would not surprise me if there are certain factions of the Black environment that do not like him, would like to smear his political future.
Damn.
But there's also could be non-melanated factions that don't like him that may want to smear his political future.
Yeah, and I've heard that people said he has aspirations to become mayor, but wouldn't run against Tory.
Yes.
So this is like the preemptive strike, because he would be in well positioned to run for mayor once, I guess, he feels like he doesn't want to run up against Tory. So when he feels like when Tory is going to not run, he's positioning himself to become mayor. And he was on track. I mean, like, there was nothing saying he couldn't.
Yeah, I think that he had said recently that people asked if he would run for mayor, and basically said not against Tory.
Right.
He is the thought process of many people who've shared with me, saying, he's basically just waiting for Tory to call it. It was waiting for Tory to call day, and he would slide in, so to speak.
Right.
So, and people, hey, if you have any thoughts on this, if you're from the Toronto area or just in general, Black men in politics, there's been a few Black men in the media lately. I think we may get to another one before we end today that have been making some interesting statements and moves and actions. But that's definitely it's going to be very interesting to see if he wins again. I think he will in the riding. And again, the hearing, I think his first hearing happens, November 1st. So that'll be after the election. So I have a feeling that he will win again, at least his election seat. What happens after that, that's when the real fun's going to begin.
Definitely.
I'm very curious to see what his accusers look like.
Well, and this is where now we're talking about the accusers possibly being Black. And you had mentioned the lady from CTV, Patricia. Is it
Patricia Juggernaut? There's another interesting
issue. Now, I guess that Lisa LaFlamme ripple effect is still lingering, because Patricia.
Yeah, and actually, she says she's going to detail her whole story today.
Oh yeah,
via social media. So for those who don't, this one here, this seemed to just come out of the blue. So let's see if we can put this one up.
And it's interesting, because what she's alleging I always thought she was a full-time person there. Like, you see her all the time.
I don't watch enough television news. I know that she did.
Yeah,
I did see her every
CP24.
once in a while on CP24. So
Yeah.
here's the story here for families. So just, you know, CP24 personality. So CP24, if for those who do not know or you're not in the Toronto area, Greater Toronto area, is an all news 24-hour television station based in Toronto. Patricia Juggernaut has been on for a while on that station. And, you know, well-known Toronto personality has filed a human rights complaint against Bell Media, alleging, quote, a systemic pattern, unquote, of racism, sexism, and discrimination, adding that during her 11 years with the company, I didn't know she was there that long.
Wow,
She was treated, quote, as a token and a commodity, unquote. In a complaint filed with the Canadian Human Rights Commission on Wednesday, Patricia Juggernaut, a weather specialist, remote reporter, and co-host for the Bell-owned news channel CP24, describes being repeated Passover for promotions and earning less than a minimum wage. She says she watched white colleagues, often newer ones, make it higher up the corporate ladder while she wasn't even offered a contract, something she attributes to the fact that she's a racialized woman. Part Guyanese and part Jamaican, she claims that she was denied a full-time stable employment and was instead forced to work weeks straight without a day off. An experience, she says, that landed her in hospital with pneumonia because she felt she had no choice but to put work instead of her health. Okay, quote, I almost died doing what I love because a freelancer can't say no. Every hour is bread, every hour is rent, every hour is a tank of gas, says Juggernaut, who resigned from Bell Media last Tuesday. In an email to CBC News, a Bell Media spokesperson said, quote, we do not comment on matters involving current or former staff members, but can confirm that Bell Media takes allegations of any potential discrimination very seriously and are committed to a safe, inclusive, and respectful work environment where employees can thrive. Quote, if a matter is brought to our attention where an employee does not feel adequately supported, a process is triggered to review and address when required. So she broke her silence. You know, she says she was guaranteed just 2 days of work each week and called it random.
Threw me off. Like 2 days a week.
Yeah, you're there 11 years and you're working 2 days a week. Joggin says she was guaranteed just 2 days a week and called it at random to fill in for hosts who were sick or away. With no certainty as what her weeks would look like, she says she relied on her ability to take other jobs to supplement her income, something she had done throughout her time there. Wow. This past summer, management moved to limit her. This is one of the things that really, I said, doesn't surprise me, but unfortunately, this past summer, management moved in to limit that ability, blocking her from performing any paid activities outside of the company without management approval. Right. According to her formal complaint, the rule was originally created in 2019 when Bell employees unionized, but was never enforced until this year.
Gotcha. Whoa.
At Bell, people of color are simply used as tokens.
And what's interesting? Did Bell sign the Black North CEO pledge? I'm very curious.
Ask your friend.
Yeah, because this is what's it called? Oh my gosh. This is right out of the diversity, I would call it, playbook of what the last 2 years, I think, was trying to attack. And Bell doesn't seem to get the message. So I'm curious if they signed that pledge because they clearly aren't following that playbook that Black North created for those companies. If they didn't sign the pledge, this might be a reason that we're seeing why, because they know that internally stuff is not it's quite messy inside of Bell that we're starting to find out around diversity.
So again, this comes on the heels of what happened to Lisa LaFlamme, who was blindsided when the company ended her contract at CTU National after more than 30 years as part of a business decision. Juggernaut says in 2019, she contracted a virus and was hospitalized after years of long days, short turnarounds, and lengthy work stretches, and being told to work for weeks upon weeks nonstop. After a 3-month unpaid sick leave, she says she pleaded with Bell for more stability. What she was offered, she said, was a part-time contract, formalizing her 2 days of work per week and giving her access to medical and dental benefits. After all that time, allegedly now, and with no additional shifts, no change to her change, and no ability to freelancing outside of Bell. And she was there. The pictures when she was talking on Bell Let's Talk Day. And yeah, she goes, Juggernaut alleges none of her supervisors reached out to her at that time. Boy.
Whoa.
It wasn't until 2 weeks later when she reached out to her manager for help that a therapist was offered. She says, ineligible for therapy through her benefits plan.
Wow.
Juggernaut
Bell Let's Talk. They were talking about the same company, right?
Yeah. Juggernaut says she was finally offered a Bell recommended therapist, but ultimately says she didn't feel safe with the arrangement and declined the help. Sorry.
They have to be better. This is madness. A question, or Donna in LinkedIn mentioned, remember how
let's go back. Let's go back a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, so Donna says, can we go back to why this is being done now and the fact that you don't have to step down till you are imprisoned?
Oh, that was the political. Hey, and one thing that we have to remember is when you read about the consequences that certain actions have, and you think who actually created that law, we remember that law was created by politicians. So I'm sure they thought way ahead to say, listen, if we get caught in these types of situations, this is the only way that we actually have to step down. And I'm noticing a lot of, and it came up a lot with like the US presidential kind of stories where you realize how you can't really prosecute politicians and of course presidents. And it's like, yeah, but they're going to protect themselves. So I'm not shocked that only being inside of prison is the only way that politicians have to step down. But good observation, Donna.
So Freddie King says, yikes. Also, is that even legal? Donna says, do you remember that Tracy on City Line got rid of her dreads? Her hair wasn't representative of the station. I don't know.
I remember, yeah, she used to have dreads.
Tim says, let's go, Ryan. Get the Black ecosystem partners to direct some of their government funds to develop a BP24.
Yes.
And let's hire Patricia and all other token Black media personalities from all the media conglomerates. And then, Donna says, it's funny what media can share and not share and how info is shared. So in regards, and it's interesting, Tim, your point about government funds, I won't get into too much. I'm in some conversation like that, and there's one side of the coin that says, yeah, let's use our government funds. The other side says they don't want government involved. We should be able to do it on our own. So there are two factions in regards to that. Let me go first and foremost. Media is not a fun game, right? So I've been I have been involved in it on my own in a long period of time, but I do keep an ear and get shared information wise on what goes on. The media game is not fun. And I feel for Ms. Juggernaut, and I hope she comes out okay. But I think red flag, if Bell did what it did to Lisa LaFlamme after 30 years, to me, that's a red flag for anyone else. So she was a prominent, non-melanated broadcaster, like lead broadcaster for their network. Every night does the CTV national news. So if that can happen to her, and she's a non-melanated woman, that
whole culture should be under review now, because that should have, like you said, been the red flag to be like, yo, what is really happening in these meetings with these big wig white men, old men that are making these decisions with the women that are the face of the company, but behind the scenes they're not treated with that respect. They're really only used as tokens, whether you're white or Black, just to deliver the news and shut up and be quiet.
So to just add on to what Tim had mentioned, for the melanated community, the bottom line solution is creating something of our own. That's the bottom line solution, is to create something. Because again, when someone else is signing your check, you don't have power, right?
Well, that's where I push. And again, I think me and Louis Marsh went head to head about this too, not wanting government funds. We have to remember a lot of the wealth that was built in this country, sorry, in this country was from government funds. The thing that we have to remember is we need the government funds without the restrictions. Typically,
is that possible?
Other people have gotten it. I've seen other communities get funds that are unrestricted, and so that they can do what they need to do. But in the Black community, I find a lot of the funds that flow to us have a lot of restrictions, and you're literally put into a box.
But that's the reason to do it on our own. If we can't get it, like the true Dr. Claude Anderson, true definition of freedom is to do whatever you want, regardless of who is for or against you.
Agree. And hey, I say parallel tracks. Our own economic empowerment, of course, we should be able to build up and be self-sustaining. But a lot of the communities that became self-sustaining was propped up by the government. So we have to be able to leverage that to then build our own stuff.
So here's the question. Were they tolerant of the restrictions, or did they push back and have their own did they call their own shots in regards to, were they able to get under what circumstances did they take the government funding to get to where they are today? Like the media, and especially in this country, relies on government funding.
Absolutely.
It is. So the question is, I guess on the Black end, can we come together and work with something to hopefully build it and then just start our own and say, hey, we don't need you anymore?
But that's what I'm saying. We should never have to say that. We should be able to negotiate properly with the government to say, this is how much we need. Hey, we can prop ourselves up as well. But the government is the treasury for our own dollars. We pay taxes. When we buy stuff, we pay taxes on that. We pay income taxes. They're holding our money, yet people in our community have a relationship with the government like, here, take our money, but I don't want it back from you. It's like, no. We have to flip that. They are holding our money and our treasury for it. We have to be able to negotiate and say, this is the way that we want our dollars spent. And we don't have strong organization in the Black community that negotiates on our behalf and gets good deals. A lot of times the people that are at the tables are negotiating bad deals for the Black community. So we just have to be better at that. And
but again, it comes back to us.
100%.
Right.
We have to organize ourselves to negotiate properly.
Okay, so Freddie King says, y'all need to have me on this show. With Bell, it goes deeper than that. Even the prison phones are owned by Bell. Bell Let's Talk is full of it. Well, Freddie, I will put my contact information up at the end of the conversation, but certainly would love to have you come on the show. And a lot of people more and more saying they question Bell's claim of Bell Let's Talk Day and all that. And there's been a few broadcasters over the last few years have basically sort of said they're not who they say they are. Ray from our Macmillan Group says, are you sure the wealth was built by government funding? I would dispute that. So you and Ray are at it again.
Is Ray coming on this Friday? Listen.
No, he's on a week from this Friday.
Week?
But
okay.
So you parking lot that.
And we can use some examples of like how much money flows through the government and even through procurement. Billions, if not even trillions of dollars. And the people that get those contracts have built wealth on that. So I'm ready to debate how much wealth has been built by government-funded initiatives.
Okay, so the next time Ray is on, we'll put the promo flyer. And then they'll put one side Ray, the other side, But
I'm not saying people haven't built wealth outside of government funding. That could be, it is true, but a good chunk and we should be able to leverage that side too. It's like the government distributes a lot of money, and we are not beneficiaries of that.
Okay. Ray, I know you'll have a comeback, so I'm waiting for your comment. This is Christopher. Good question. What if government funding was not an option at all? Could we still pool together? Only curious. I think that's a great question. Could we still do it?
I haven't seen examples of it yet, but I am an optimist that does believe it can be done as well. But parallel, as we're working on what would it take to get the Black community to rally around a project that we can now fund ourselves. If there's been examples of projects before and I just don't know of them, please let me know. I'm currently watching the Pan-African Credit Union try to be a project that the Black community can rally around. I don't think we've rallied around it enough. What other things have the Black community pooled together? NIA Center is raising money to do renovations for their new location. It only could be done because of the government funding that they got. They tried to do community fundraising. It didn't work. So many times I've seen big projects try to be funded through the community alone, and it didn't happen. So what's missing? And that's where we really have to give ourselves space to dig deep into that question. That question that you asked is literally the question that we have to answer for ourselves. What will it take, or can it be done for us to rally around something?
No, I think it can be done. I think it can be done. It's what will it take? And again, haven't said it for a while. My core three: trauma,
yes,
repetition, symbolism.
But how do we use that to our advantage? We know the trauma. What symbols are we using to positively move us in the right direction? It feels like you're only using symbols to just put band-aids on stuff. Like I've seen a lot of announcements from government programs, and then you ask questions about, hey, how is that program going? And it's crickets, or people get defensive. And it's like, I just want to know, you said that you started the program. I didn't force you to start the program. And now how's that program going? Nobody knows. So we're very good at announcing things symbolically, exactly like you mentioned, one of the three, and not actually empowering the Black community with what they said that they're going to do. So, hey, down the line, a lot of things need to be addressed. But this is what I was saying with giving ourselves space to strategize. We typically are very reactionary. A triggering moment happens, a lot of conversation happens, and programs about anti-Black racism come out that don't really move us forward. We never really, during the good times, look, I'll give an example. The Black entrepreneurship ecosystem, 40 organizations got up to $100 million. So this would be considered the good times. While for the next 2 to 3 years, 40 organizations are somewhat fully funded. This would be the time to now strategize and leverage. What does the next 50 years look like? How can we use what we have now to actually build on it, carve out some of that money to create our own media outlet, carve out some of that money to launch the credit union and our own financial institution. Instead, we all get our money, we retreat to our camps, work on our programs, and then when the money's going to run out in 2024, which is a fact, like that's the deadline that the government gave us, I've already heard from organizations saying, we don't know what we're going to do when this money runs out. We are back to square one. It's like, what do you mean you're back to square one? This is broken. We can't, in the good times, discard strategy and planning for the future. We can't go blocks at a time only based on government.
You have heard organizations say that already?
Yes, and this is this is why I'm trying to have these conversations, and we do the study group on Tuesday evenings, because we need space for strategy. We need to at least talk on a consistent basis to say this money isn't forever. And like you said, how do we leverage it to now build our own, so that money that we're sustaining ourselves with
Wow.
is
Wow.
unrestricted.
Well,
I know the type of box that we've been put in based on the money that we got, and it's very difficult to get out of it. You almost have, they really cause you to submit to it's a control mechanism.
all
Reward
right.
and punishment are both control mechanisms.
Let me
So
just
us
catch up
getting
to
money
what
is
Tim
still
said
control.
recently. Tim said government funds our taxes. So keeping our tax dollars, hence why the conservatives are around the world want tax cuts to keep their money so they can keep investing, scaling, and innovating new businesses. We need to create more businesses and learn how to keep our taxes legally and reinvest back into ourselves. I agree. I think that this what is it? The part of the remedy is economical, and part of it remedy is dealing with the trauma. And I think there's a lot of some financial trauma going on with some of the people in our environment. I don't like your C word because you're giving perfect reason why I don't use the C word today. Ray is going, yes, but you have to equip yourself and prepare yourself to access and use that money. So good point by Ray.
100%, I agree with that.
You know,
And we typically don't. I would say 100% of the time we don't. We get given programs and we haven't internally as a community organized and strategized around how to use that money properly. It's like we really just wing it. And that can't continue. We have to get better at strategy and organization.
So Christopher says, Ryan, you're right. The strategy is key. Oh, the comments are beginning to fly in now. Here we go. Freddie says, I think it should be the reason why we don't get the respect we deserve is because John is uppity Negroes that don't care about our community in his ear. I was chair of partnership and accountability for confronting anti-black racism, and I can honestly tell you that the gatekeepers are the ones that have skin. Not all you're saying not all skin folk are kinfolk. So
And that
definitely,
is
Freddie,
very powerful because
we
the
need to have you
ability.
on if you have that sort of insider evaluated experience. And it's funny because is that anti-black racism for what jurisdiction? Was that for Toronto?
I believe the city of Toronto had a confronting anti-black
I
racism
think they
unit,
still do.
and they still do, right?
I think they still do, but
and go
I
ask them how
know
it's
some
going.
people in that I know of, and maybe know that person still there in that department, but definitely, Freddie, we need to get you on. So, and I would say contact me sooner rather than later because, like I said, we don't have too many open spots every month. So we'd like to get you on sooner rather than later.
Important.
Ray is saying $100 million for a population of less than 2 million people is not a lot of money. With that amount of funding, a lot of wealth can be created if the right folks are involved. Folks who understand wealth creation. Interesting. One of the gentlemen I was speaking with last night, he said, he says, one of the things that has to happen is, and this actually goes further back, Dr. George Fraser. When I interviewed him long time ago at the North York Civic Center, and before and one thing I like to do is come early for events. I was early, and it was just me and him in this hallway, and I had an interview with him. Actually, it's still on the website, I believe.
Oh,
and he
nice.
I said to basically ask him what has to happen for Black people to move forward. And he was talking not just Canada, but North American. And one of the things he said, some of our elders need to go.
Wow. Point blank.
He said it point blank. He said, some of them need to go. Some of the people, and I think I remember a little while back, someone had shared with me, John Toy was in a conversation with a group of Black individuals, and he basically said, why do I keep on seeing the same individuals all the time?
Interesting.
Where is the next generation of leadership?
And hey, John Choi, respond to your emails because I've sent you quite a few emails letting you know what we're working on, and no response from your office. Just let me put that there for a minute. But this man, this is
So let's continue on with comments as
sorry,
you
yeah, go ahead.
lay back and it says to be impactful, we need $1 billion, or do we need to organize and strategize with environments that are not allergic to build? Curious.
So that was what I was thinking. What Ray was saying, and it's similar to what Christopher just said. That 100 million. So we recently did the Black labor market assessment with Dr. Pierre, and I was asking him to come on so that we can talk more to it. But it was something that made me realize that it should have been done before that 100 million was rolled out, because now it would allow us as a community to discuss around data the right decisions to make. And so if we're carving out 100 million, how it was done was just to say, hey, everybody give me your applications and we're going to carve up this 100 million to 40 times. And so you just get dispersed. And Dr. George Fraser talks about that as well. Like, power comes from concentration, not from dispersion. And the Black community is dispersed and not concentrated and using, because that 100 million could have made a lot of impact. Instead, it's just spread out and everybody feels that, and ACBN is one of them. And this is what made me really pause, is because I always ask that question, leader, where are you leading me? And then you start to realize perhaps I've been leading people in the wrong direction. And how do you correct course and say, you know what, we have to stop, analyze what we're doing, and get back on track. And if we can't do that, even if we execute our programs 100% successful based on what we submitted, we won't move the Black community forward 1 inch. And that to me is very disheartening. And it's hard to sleep because you're realizing you're part of the problem. And if you can't not be the problem, I'm going to live my whole life and my children are going to look back and be like, Dad, what did you do? Like, you literally built nothing. And that, we shouldn't be able to let that sit with us. We have to do better.
So I just did a quick look on my website. That comment from Dr. George Fraser goes back to 2010.
Wow. Put the link. I want to check out that.
Amazing. So Freddie says, yes, that is the city of Toronto. So Freddie, we need to get you on. Freddie says, real talk, some of our elders are the ones holding us back. Donna says that you haven't got a response from Mr. Toy because he is not looking. Well, he doesn't look at, it's his communications team. I don't think Mr. Toy looks at the
automated responses.
Yeah,
sure, but no proper solution.
Ray is saying your comment is spot on, Ryan. Money with no plan. A fool and his money will soon part.
Yes.
Carrie Mullins, Ms. Mullins.
Mm-hmm.
So good. Oh, but Carrie Mullins. Everyone follow Carrie Mullins. It's actually generational. Her father, who's no longer with us, who was one of my dad's closest friends, and herself have generationally been doing incredible stuff media-wise for 2 generations.
Okay. Yes,
and Carrie, if you can, I'd love you to reach out to me. I'd love to have you on the show. And she says, many elders within our community don't impart knowledge. They are very selective with who they share with and are biased. I agree. I agree with that.
We have to break through that.
Carrie, thank you so much for jumping on for a bit. Really, if you can come on, Carrie, would love to have you on the platform, because more people need to know not only about her, but definitely her father, how much her father did, and that she is carried on generationally in the world of entertainment and media. So big ups to you, Carrie. Big ups to you, big time. Actually, to the point, if I'm not mistaken, there is a park in Brampton named after her father.
Oh, wow.
If I'm pretty sure. Donna says, we fell for the Willie Lynch theory.
And this is where symbolism comes into play. The narrative, and something that came out of the report that made me really reflect, is we have to control the narrative of business so that it becomes aspirational to both work for Black businesses and to be Black businesses. When you hear things about the Willie Lynch story, and these are all elements of symbolism that's been used to oppress. And that's the only way that we can really fight against it, is to create our own elements of symbols that can do the opposite. And that's where we have to be in control of media and arts and entertainment, and understand that narrative is going to pave the path for the next 50 to 100 plus years. And when you look and do an audit, we don't control the media. We don't control the narrative. We don't control the movie industry and things that our children are being indoctrinated with. It's a big task. And we have to start somewhere to say, we have to start strategizing around this. It can't stay status quo.
Well, it can, but the results won't be great.
If we want better. Right. It can't stay how it is.
And be better. No, it definitely, media wise, it's like, I always believe, if the melanated environment wants to move forward, you got to control your kids, control our kids' education, own our own businesses and hire our own, and also control our media. And I think those are the three things we got to start at. And again, economics is at the foundation.
But what Freddie was talking about, where we have blackface on white power, our own people are holding us back from actually executing sometimes. And that's a difficult thing because, and I've been in those meetings as well, where you're with a person that's hired by a company, and you can tell they're just the token Black person that's now given the diversity and inclusion role.
Oh, I've heard too many of those stories.
Yeah, to have the conversation with the person that wants to enact change, and all they do is block. And you're like, clearly you have no power to make decisions. So why am I talking to you? But you're the only person that the big conglomerate will let you talk to. So it's all a game. And if this is what's being done at the city of Toronto, we have to dig deep. And when people do get in power, and I mean, I can't believe Michael Thompson's still the only Black councillor.
That's not hard to believe.
For 16 years.
That's not hard to believe.
That hits different, man. That's like,
why is that a surprise?
But like, who is he helping to pull up? If we're looking
that's a whole other conversation.
This is where we have to go. It's like, if we get our foot in the door, you can't be happy with being the only one.
Some people
How
can
are you
be.
Now groom the next generation to get in.
Some people can be. I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but some people can. We've got to, like, where I don't have the book with me. Oh yes, I do. Oh yes, I do. Oh yes, I do. So when people ask me how I got some of the things, how I got some of this crazy journey called the Dr. Vibe Show started, little short story. Many years ago, on St. Clair, just east of Dufferin in downtown Toronto, there was a bookstore called Burke's Bookstore, run by Sam and Rita Burke. Incredible individuals, incredible Black couple. Yes. And I'm going to see if they want to come on here one day, because they've been incredible, to the point the bookstore doesn't exist anymore, but they now have a Black-run Toastmasters group for the last number of years.
Okay, solid.
All right. I used to go in their store all the time. And then I'll just really make it really quick. One day I saw this book, Black Men, Obsolete, Single, and Dangerous.
Wow. Okay.
The African American Family in Transition, written by Haki Mahabuti. This book is still relevant today. It was written in 1990.
Okay.
1990. And one of the key things that opened my eyes when I read this book was, he said, we have to realize the heritage of many Black people is African. African is a communal heritage. North American, European heritage is based on the individual. So we're trying to fit a round peg into a square hole.
100%.
So and that really opened my eyes to see what we are challenged with.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that says a lot right there. Obviously, Freddie has some comments on, don't get it twisted, John Tory only cares about photo ops. Christopher says, what exists are thinkers and doers. And the question warrants to ask, what would fill a service gap of more thinking or doing? Curious.
Mhm.
Tim asks, how many associations out of the 40 besides BPA do you think will survive past 2024? Woo! There's the question. And you know what's interesting? It's funny because all this situation came up. Here's the question. I'll build on what Tim has just said. Would the ecosystem funding have existed if there was not a pandemic?
You can say pandemic, you can say George Floyd. I would say it was like a perfect storm for it to get greenlit. Let's put it that way, because the UN Decade of African Descent was already in full swing, and they had only committed 25 million to the Black community. 25, maybe 50. It might have been 50. So they had already checked the box of how they were going to support the Black community, and then pandemic and George Floyd reignited things.
The perfect storm.
So they needed a bit more money to now quiet the Black community, and we're seeing it play out.
So I it's going to be interesting, Tim. I think that's a huge question right there, because what did the pandemic showcase? A number of businesses and organizations never thought about sustainability. And so here's the question, Tim. So now here's the thing. A number of these organizations are supposed to help with sustainability of the Black environment. Right. The question is, are they even set up for sustainability? Themselves. I had a conversation with someone last week, and won't say their name, but they know, they have a good deep dive of what's going on the inside. And he said there are a number of the organizations that he knows of are not set up for sustainability of the ecosystem. I'm not going to give any names.
You mentioned something very important a second ago. You said unsustainable, and I'm parsing words. Unsustainable nonprofits right now are trying to teach businesses how to be sustainable and grow. If that doesn't sound broken to the layman listening to this, this is what we're dealing with. And again, I am part of that. I am running a nonprofit that is now designed or mandated to try and help businesses become sustainable, but beyond just sustainable, we actually want to elevate them into the small business realm. This report showed that a lot of our businesses, and it was like 86%, are nano businesses, like less than 5 employees, that are really invisible to capital. VC, angel, bank loans, all do not, it's very high risk for that type of capital to invest into the types of businesses that we created.
Yep, they ain't gonna do it.
So we have to get out of that segment
mindset,
to elevate. And if we don't, we're always going to be stuck. There's no amount of Black entrepreneur programs that can fix us fundamentally building our businesses wrong. If we build with the wrong structure and foundation, no amount of money is going to save that, because it can't scale. And now, how do we shift from what we're doing and being comfortable taking money doing it to what's actually needed? God bless it. I don't know. I'm still learning, and I'm willing to learn. So please come to our study groups so that we can all learn together, because I don't have all the answers, and only collaboration is the way forward.
That's the only way.
It's the only way.
So let me, the people that are here this morning, they're ready to, they're firing now. The comments are really fine. So Tim, to your question, that's a good.
If half survived, I'd be shocked. I'll leave it there. If half survived, but this is the thing, all 40 will still exist. So when you say survive, what are we? That's where a lot of our organizations are able to exist and just kind of wing it,
toe the line, and that's a deeper dive too, because the whole funding system is a mess. It was a mess. It was a mess before, and it's still a mess, in my opinion.
Survive and be around, but will we have full
Positive
operational
impact.
funding?
Positive.
Right.
It will have a positive impact. That's a
That's the
good.
different question.
Yeah. So here we go. Freddie saying, "Do you know how many times I told Anania and Anthony Morgan that this is what the Black community needs, and I got shunned?" Okay. Freddie also says, "Some people can be for real. Trust me, these Negroes hate the community." Okay. Donna says, "Crisis. Throw some money at them and distract them from real work." A number of people are being saying that. Christopher says
That's their
there are
MO.
organizations in our circumference that operate in the name of community and seem to receive funding on an ongoing basis. Curious, can we get some of those organizations to show or teach us or tell us more? Accountability. But
Pause
again,
there for a sec. Pause. That is a very interesting question because it brings up the fact that those that know how to get money do not teach. And again, it's almost like we're learning the language and dancing the song, and you get the money, and we're kind of stuck there. So organizations have gotten very comfortable doing the song and dance and getting the money. And then, okay, we all have to learn that, but I would rather say, like, who in our community, and the question is open, has built their own wealth that is now willing to teach? Will
okay, so
Denim Jolly come back?
here we go. Okay, so
Will
you
West
wanted to come back
Hall
with
come
fire
back and
this
teach?
morning. Okay, so just building on what Ryan and I said, so I'm blessed, not as many people as Ryan, but I get to meet and communicate with a lot of different gentlemen. So there is a gentleman who is 81 years old, non-melanated. Brian knows where I'm going here. Non-melanated, who I had a chance to meet on a Zoom call. His company mentors CEOs and entrepreneurs. So I said, you know what? I'd like to get to know this gentleman better. So I booked a half an hour meeting with him. We ended up talking for 20, 25 minutes about our lives, people we know, etc. And at the end, I said, look, I have a big ask. Can I get half an hour of your time each month to get mentorship? He said, no problem.
Okay, look at that.
Right? He 81 years old. The man don't look like me. Talked to him for 20 minutes. He said, no problem. Next thing, last week, he emails me. His organization, okay, I guess post-pandemic, they're doing it now. Every few months, they have CEO talks. So they bring guest speakers to share their knowledge on how to be better CEOs. Say he's the same gentleman, 81 years old, don't look like me. Says, look, we're doing this event. I would like to invite you and any of your guests who'd like to come and learn. So I said, okay. And I've invited Ryan. Ryan's coming. I'm inviting one or two other people. The tickets are $800 a pop. Ryan and I are going no charge. Plus, this man is willing to apply his knowledge on mentoring and becoming great CEO. Half an hour for no problem. So Ryan said to me, well, he knows one or two other people. How come they ain't doing like that who look like us?
That would
now
have a
it's
lot
interesting.
More
I shared this with another person. Said, hey, a lot of these CEOs who are high up people who look like us, they're just trying to keep their job. But I did, and I should have pushed back and say, yeah, well, whether they're wanting to keep their job or not, can't they just offer their perspective, like wanting the next generation to be better?
Right.
I'm not saying, I'm just saying. So I'm just giving you a real life story. Ryan and I are going to the event. I believe it's on October 19th. We're going there together. And I have a funny feeling we're all going to be the only melanated people in the room. And I love it because I'm going to get knowledge that I will be sharing through myself that I learned at this event. And actually, he's coming on my show.
Excellent. Yes. But this is where it can be done, but it isn't being done. And are those that can do it for various reasons. Some have just said, "Listen, I'm done with the Black community." Maybe they tried to teach before,
I don't blame some of those
right?
people.
So the various reasons, but we have to figure out how to pull these successful people back to teach, so that more people can follow those footsteps.
Well, so Ray is saying the irony is insane, Ryan. Folks who never ran a successful business giving business advice to young entrepreneurs. Hey, I'm going to say some free money is not the solution. Ray, I just want to tell you something. The majority of the entrepreneurs are not young.
Very true.
Right? I would say the average, maybe Ryan can correct, probably the average age is at least 35 plus, and a lot of Black women. A lot of Black women. So we have to really, the organizations that are doing this, including Ryan's, I'm not going to leave them out, this is impacting generations and families. So that's how critical what's being done is here. So I just wanted to put that out there. Freddie said, go ahead. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, something that the research showed us, there was only about 30% of women in the study out of the 1,600. And that kind of expands over the 27,000. But the women are more readily, they join programs more than the men. So there's a lot of businesses that are run by men, but they don't show up to these programs.
That's another conversation topic there. That you don't want me to get me going on that one right now. So that's the whole thing. Freddie King, the only real group that does things in the BCC is the Black Community Consultant Circle. They've been the ones out in the community leading food drives, fundraising. BLM Toronto doesn't care about Black men who are not a part of the rainbow community. Show me one alpha male availed in the BLM. With the funding they got, what did they do to purchase a building for $8 million? How foolish. And it's just another we could have a whole conversation about BLM. That's a whole other conversation. That's a whole other conversation about BLM. And I think I'll just put it out there. If anyone wants, I would love people to read the BLM, Black Lives Matter manifesto, and tell me who does it apply to. Right. I'm just going to leave it at that. Going further, Donna says, are we honest about how we share that money? Obviously not. Right. Donna, the CABR, the Community Against Black Racism at the City, works with my organization and others. You are all invited to the Ripple Effect Circle. Tell us about it. I don't know about the Ripple Effect Circle. Christopher, Ryan, keep the faith, continue to learn the social fabric and work towards building change, but he can't do it by himself. Agreed. All right, Freddie King, I want an invite to that. So Donna, please get the information to us about the Ripple Effect.
I think he's talking about the CEO thing. I don't know.
Oh. Well, I'll see if you want. Okay. Ray, 2 of my 4 mentors for the last 30 years are also non-melanated. My son now has access to the same mentors, generational. You see, these interactions are frequent and there's nothing required to return but grow. That's the same thing with this gentleman.
Right.
You don't think that I'm going to get knowledge from a man who's 81 years old who mentors CEOs? He even sent me his book for free.
Okay, yes.
I'm going to see if I can get some of his books out to the serious, not the greedy, not the needy. I'm going to see if I can get some of those books out to him. But the guy was amazing. Right? Thank you, Dr. Vibe, for all that you appreciate, Christopher. But, Ryan's my mentor. So
I've been training still, too.
Well, Christopher says, have a good week, everyone and all. Yes. Christopher, have a productive week. Okay. Ryan knows, Donna says, and then we'll do. Yeah, I'd really like, and even if you want, Donna, if you want to come on, no problem.
Right.
But
I think they have a summit coming up next week. Donna Harrow and the Ripple Effect. They do have a summit coming up next month.
It's the first time I'm hearing about it, but that's great. I want to grow and learn. Like, again, if it's an in-person event, I'm very selective on where I go, and we didn't even get to it today. Maybe the next time we're on together. Ryan said before we went live, award season is hot now.
Awards and gala season. There's at least 4 upcoming.
It's hot time. Award season is hot. Oh, look at Donna saying We are having a summit on November 30th, December 1st and 2nd. Donna, why don't you come on here and you can, or someone or representatives come on and talk about the summit?
Yes.
Please. And I would suggest sooner rather than later, because again, we're only on, as I said to Ryan the other day, people don't realize we're only on 8, maximum 10 times a month right now.
Right.
Looking for more sponsors. If we get, okay, Christopher goes, Donna Hara is a real giant and a voice for the unemployed and for the inspired. Amazing. It's okay. It's virtual. Okay. Even more so. Let's find out about it and get the word out there so more people can attend it. Absolutely. But yeah, so we're all bouncing it back periodically about coming on Wednesdays also, because right now, because on Fridays Ryan has to walk the kids to school, so he's only like, if he's not available all the time, so we can see if we can make the Wednesdays happen. Donna says we'll talk after. Fantastic. But yeah, so for a conversation that really had nothing to start with, did we? And we got more to chat about. But yeah, we so other things that are coming again, as you said, Leslie McEwen is coming up this Friday about mental health. She's going to start making her once a month appearances. Next Monday, Louis Marsh is coming back to talk about the Mothers Walk Against Gun Violence that happened a few weeks ago. To chat about that. Then a week from this Friday, Ray is back on.
Yes.
So right now, so people, if you're Freddie or Donna, if you're wanting to come on the show, you're probably looking at the last week of this month, but do it sooner rather than later, because the spots are filling up. For some reason, people want to come on this platform.
Yes.
For some strange reason, they want to come on. We didn't even get talked about Kanye West. That's a whole other conversation.
Talk about kicking the Black community 10 years backwards.
White Lives Matter, Kanye West, and if you want to watch some interesting television, he was on Tucker Carlson on Fox News last week.
Okay.
So you got to realize he wouldn't be on there unless he fit their agenda. I'll just leave it at that. Exactly. But one thing I will say about Mr. West, whether you like him or not, he has power to do whatever he wants.
Absolutely. And I'm a fan, because if you watch the documentary that's on Netflix about him now, it really personifies what it means to just, work hard, be an entrepreneur, have a creative mind, but yeah, now that he has all this power, what is he using it for?
So Carrie Mullins, Donna Harrow, please share a website for more information. People are asking Donna, can you even share a little bit of information today? And Carrie, please, we need you also on. One thing, well, I'm not a psychologist, but I think he has some emotional challenges. But here's something people may not know. He has his own athletic brand. Is it called Yeezy? I don't know what his name of his brand is, which is distributed by the Gap.
Yeah.
Do you know that his brand represents about 13 to 14% of revenue for the Gap?
For the Gap? What?
So you notice he's
crazy.
Controversial right now, but you notice none of these brands are dropping him.
Didn't he
there was something like the Gap. I think maybe the Gap is dropping him, but the thing is,
but I think he's severing, like he's
severing.
Yeah,
they're not dropping him.
Right,
he's dropping them.
Right, something like that.
Power,
he's in control now.
Freedom
of his brand.
Right, he has that power and freedom.
I need to see somebody on the street wearing that stuff. That stuff just looks like you bought it so that you can say that you have it. It's like, I don't know if it's actual everyday wear.
Donna, I agree with what you said. He needs healing, as many of us do. Exactly. And I question him marrying his former wife, and him now being upset about that. That's a whole other conversation. Again, Freddie says the reason why there's gun violence is because children don't feel love in the. Well, we're gonna have Louis talk about that.
Yeah,
that's Louis. So it's another reason why we love doing these things. You give us about 1,500 things that we need to chat about in upcoming conversations. So when we go to 3 days a week, we can have these things, and you guys can just maybe do it. Maybe call it Wide Open Wednesdays. Maybe call it something like that.
I like that.
Tim Frey says 24-hour Black news talk is so needed with different voices. These continuing daily talks are important. Let's get this happening. Okay, we'll take it offline. We'll take it
Yes.
offline and do that. Actually, another thing, if you do get a chance to watch, I mentioned it periodically a few weeks ago, is that, and you're right, Freddie, yes, of course, Kanye West makes some money. Of course, that's why,
Yes.
right? For those who are of age, Tavis Smiley, he was, I think, the first Black man in America to have a daily talk show on a major network. Back in the day, he had it on PBS. He did in the last 2 or 3 months, did a 2.5-hour interview. Amazing interview. And actually, he has just a all talk Black station in Los Angeles.
Okay.
It's an all Black 24-hour news station, and he said there's only 4 of those west of the Mississippi in America.
Look at that. Okay.
But I said it before, and I'll say it again. He had a 20-year relationship with Prince, and one of the things that Prince told him is content is king, but distribution is the emperor.
And that's how they
so
control
definitely
it.
The 24-hour Blouse news talk is so needed with different voices. Absolutely. And the thing is, I won't get too deep in it. The best way to make that happen is to do it totally online to start. Yes, TV would be nice, but that is a longer process, I think, just to get one started consistently, get it online.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. So okay. Yes, start show when fathers are in the house. Let's go. Yes, that is true. That is true. Let's Gun Violence. You're preparing Louis Marsh. He's going to tell you that. Donna says we're getting our website ready for the summit, but www.rippleeffect.com. That is the website. So Carrie and others, they're getting the website ready for the summit. So if people go to that URL address, what are they going to see? Are they going to say site under construction?
Or probably info just on the Ripple Effect itself.
Yeah. Is there what are people going to see? So another quiet conversation on Thanksgiving. Some people are probably sleeping and oh no, we still make it happen. So also, yeah, so we are, I think, done. Ryan's house is still quiet.
Yeah, surprisingly. I thought I heard some rumblings. I'll go and see what's happening.
Here's someone saying someone needs to get Mark Strong in the convo.
Mark Strong, yeah. What's he been up? What has he been up to? Last I heard, he was on the morning show with Jem. Or she talking about
Element FM.
Elements. Yeah.
Yes.
I know he got remarried, so congratulations there. I saw him posting on Instagram about his new marriage.
Okay. Upgraded info in real time. Okay, down over the site. Okay, fathers are also needed in the house, just as important as the mother. If you were taught inside the jail cells and all those Black men, now if I say grew up with the fathers, yes, that is another conversation. If you want to have it on, I help fathers and men around the world, and I actually have a sponsorship arrangement with Dove Men Plus Care to do that through an online show. And actually, some of the people we've had on, we recently interviewed one of the dragons from Dragon's Den. And he talked about his upbringing, and he had quite an interesting story. Vincent Guzzo was his name, Vincenzo Guzzo, and he said that he's a single child, not by choice. He said, unfortunately, his mother had 3 miscarriages.
Right. Holy.
So Donna, yes, working at an Indigenous station, Element FM. That's where Mark and Jen are at, and wonderful them. But that just tells you something, that they're working at a non-Black radio station.
Yes.
Oh my gosh! And again, Patricia, going to be interesting to hear your story. But Patricia, I'm speaking for you, but. And I'm going to reach out to see if she wants to come on. I don't know how I could do it, but I'd love to see if she'd like to come on this platform and share her story. It'd be nice for her to share her story on a Black platform.
Mm-hmm.
See if she'd be willing to share her story. I did meet her once a number of years ago at the BBPA office downtown. Still have the picture, by the way, but that's it. So what's up for the rest of the week?
That is a great question. Yeah, I feel like this week is quiet, but I always enjoy the study groups on Tuesdays. Wednesday, we're actually going to be at Sheridan College doing our first financial literacy series leading up to the symposium. So it's getting helping people get their financial statements, organized in preparation for raising capital. So looking forward to that session Wednesday. We Andre Smith from Flip and Floss is going to be presenting, and then each month we're going to be doing different sessions. But yeah, the week I think is pretty quiet. And how about yourself? Is it?
I got positive, productive, always positive, productive. But Freddie says hit her up on TikTok or IG. What I will do, Freddie, is send her and this is one of the things I do, and I tell people if you do it, it gets better. I think it gets better results. I'm going to send her a video introduction and see if she'd be willing to come on and share with us her journey. Myself, well, with me, yes, it's a holiday in Canada, but many of the people I associate with are based in the US. So this is a day to take advantage where I won't get that much communication with Canadians because they're relaxing or rolling over. They're belly full.
Yes.
So doing some odds and ends today, reaching out to some people in the US, probably send a bunch of video messages, have my weekly training session for coaches tonight. And then tomorrow I have 2 sessions this week with entrepreneurs and also getting ready. Actually, I have to, speaking of Sheridan College, I have to do a sharing session after our show on Friday to a group of film and video students.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, Sheridan College has been quite supportive in providing me interns, and they have these days on a regular basis of Meet the Professional. And the gentleman who I work with in regards to that from Sheridan, he said, we were doing our next one, and the first person we wanted was you. I said, all right, you must be desperate.
Right.
So I have to, I don't know if I'm going to prepare a deck or just give him me.
Gotcha. Yeah, both will be wonderful.
So thank you, sir. So if you want to watch replays of this thing they call the Morning Vibe, check out the Dr. Vibe show on YouTube and Facebook, ACBN, Facebook and YouTube, Ryan Oneil Knight on YouTube. Also, if you would like to promote your business or service on our show, contact me at dr.vibe at the dr.vibe.show. So that's also for Freddie. If you want to get on the show, there's the email address. And that's also, so does Donna have your contact information, Ryan?
She does, and I can send you hers. Yeah.
Yeah. So Donna definitely would like you to get in contact with us as soon as possible so we could slot you in. Mm-hmm. And also, I was going to wait till Friday, but last Friday you weren't there. So we also have a Friday sponsor for this month, Ebony Occasions.
Yes.
Afrocentric gift cards. And interesting enough, I mentioned Ebony Occasions last night on State of Things with Aisha and Jill and Lala were there last night. Aisha couldn't make it, and they were very saying, wow, they should sponsor our show, because then Joe saying they need to get their cards out now. I know people in the US to be interested, etc. So
yes,
just putting it out there. And there's also another potential sponsor I spoke to last week. If they come on board, I'll definitely look deeper into the Wednesday thing. But the only thing is, I'd like to get consistent sponsor to do the Wednesday, because that's 3 days a week. So that's a lot of time. And I also had someone says, well, if Ryan doesn't show up, I can co-host. So we even got a backfill for Ryan.
Yes.
Because he's become so, Ryan is blowing up so much, he may not be able to take time for us anymore. So I said, yeah, I can come on if Ryan doesn't show up. I said, you have to get his permission.
Yeah. Open to that. I'll see who it was. That's good.
Right. You know who it is, but I'm not going to tell you.
All right.
You know who it is. So everyone, as always, have a fantastic week. We like to finish off with this: live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger, block assumptions, and aim bigger and better. Aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember to give yourselves grace, and also subscribe So wherever
Yes,
you're
please.
watching this,
Yes.
subscribe to the channel so you get notified of upcoming conversations on what we do and the great people that we're bringing on. And also, we're Black-owned media, by the way. Right?
Yeah,
So
we'll keep it growing. Yes.
we're just going to keep it growing. Have a great week, everyone. If you're celebrating Thanksgiving, be thankful. Have a gratitude, actually. Have a gratitude. Every morning, give gratitude. When you go to bed, give gratitude. All right? So we'll see you on Friday with Leslie McEwen. And you know how to reach us in between. God bless. Peace, well, keep the faith. Walk good.
Hey.
Oh, sorry, folks. I had the wrong ending. So just bear with me. There we go.